Oh, this is Dr. John Brimhall. I have Dr. Brent Kesler as my guest tonight. This is an unusual meeting for us. Normally, we're talking about health and wellness. Tonight, we're talking about your financial freedom. The reason I put this together is this is what I do. I have been working with Brent Kesler, Dr. Kesler, for the last 7 years with Ray Poteet in doing the banking to where I don't borrow money from anybody but myself.
What
And I
are you
pay
doing?
it back
Go.
to
We're squeaking.
myself, and therefore I make an
Alright.
interest. It's an exciting concept. And interestingly enough, doctors make a lot of money sometimes,
They
but
broke
very
fence,
few
so I'm
doctors
thinking they're
keep
at B.
much of it. They
One's
turn
in
it
vent for
over,
sure.
and they
He's waiting
always
for
have
you.
overhead. And Dr. Kessler is going to show
You can
you
hear him down there.
tonight probably a chiropractor's story, how they were in debt and how he got out of debt. Dr. Kesler himself was almost $1 million in debt. I think we'll save that for homecoming. So this is just a forerunner to what we're going to do in homecoming, January 27th through 29th. So
Mom's
that
B.
Friday the
I told you, Mom's
27th,
B.
we're going to have a special meeting after the health and wellness seminar from 8 until 6. At 6:30, we're going to treat you dinner and have a 3.5-hour session where I'm going to start off showing you how I use trust,
Nice.
a private foundation, and the banking that has changed my
I
world.
think the guy
So
opened
now
it.
I not only
I
make
think the
money,
guy
I
honestly
know
opened
how
it
to
and hit
save
it.
money, keep money, protect money.
That's great.
It
That was
lowers
fucking
your
great.
taxes and raises your net worth by more than you can imagine. Had I known this 10 or 15 years ago, I would have many more millions of dollars. It's that powerful. So Dr. Kesler, we'll turn it over to you. We'll go full speed ahead, and then just the last few minutes we'll save for questions. Dr. Kesler.
Okay, Dr. John, thank you very much for having me on this call, and thanks everybody for being on. Yeah, I actually had, back when I started and I learned about this concept, Dr. John mentioned I was almost $1 million in debt. To be exact, I was $984,711 in third-party debt. That's what I owed, just like other people. And actually, my background is as a chiropractor, and although I no longer practice anymore, I still own some clinics in the Kansas City area, and I have associate docs that are in my clinics. And the thing that I do now is this concept that I'm going to share with you tonight, I teach this full time all around the country. So I'm constantly traveling around teaching these live financial freedom seminars and just helping people just to break the bonds of financial slavery they don't even just realize they're in. So yeah, and as I said, I had almost $1 million in debt, 984,000, and you're kind of probably thinking, well, how does a guy from Kansas get to be almost $1 million in debt? Well, I had my student loans, I had my offices, I also had my house, have a condo at the Lake of the Ozarks. Well, if you have a condo at the lake, you have to have a boat and a wave runner, right? You can't have a condo at the lake without a boat and a wave runner. I'm also an airplane pilot, so I have my own airplane. So it didn't take me a lot to become almost $1 million in debt. Well, okay, as far with that debt, okay, I was able to pay that off in 3 years and 3 months, a total of 39 months, and I never had to change my cash flow. I never had to work any harder. I never lost control of my money or took any risk. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. I'm going to share with you some truths about money and how money actually works. So a lot of the stuff I might go over tonight, you guys are going to be sitting back and you're going to think, wow, that looks really good, but it just seems too good to be true. I'm telling you, do not do that. I can give you thousands of people that I've been working with over the years in this system, and just like as far as a lot of chiropractors, dentists, orthodontists, people that own their own businesses, or even just a regular wage earner. I am going to just prove to you tonight how you're going to recapture all of the money that you're sending out to other people. And in case you're wondering what that word recapture means, I'm going to explain here real quickly. So, for example, let's say if you go buy a car, and if you buy that car, the thing you're going to do is you're going to give the car dealer the cash, and he's going to give you the car, and the transaction's going to stop. So everybody's happy. The car dealer has the money and you have the car. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to give the car dealer the money and I'm going to get the car. But now I have a system to get all of that money back for that car I just purchased. So so on the end result, I'm not only going to have the car, but I'm also going to get all the money back for that car so I can buy the next car. And I will prove to you tonight how you can get all the money back for all the cars you're ever going to buy, drive, and own from now until the time you die. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And just a couple things here. Actually, a quote here by the late Will Rogers. It's one of my favorite quotes. And what Will Rogers says is the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know. The problem is what people think they know that just ain't so. So the reason I like that quote when we're talking about cash and our money is because the stuff that you have been taught about money may not necessarily be the truth about money. So I'm going to ask you to open up your minds and expand your thought process as I go through this. And again, just keep an open mind because it's not the normal stuff that you would think about money. It's not what your parents taught you. It's not what your grandparents taught you about money. This is definitely out of the box thinking. But I believe the majority of you on the call tonight are chiropractors, and I think you have to be an out of the box thinker anyway, or you would never ever be able to survive in this profession. All right, so now the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a couple of these calculators on the screen. All right, and there's going to be 3 calculators that you're going to see here. You're going to see 2 on the right and 1 on the left. Now, I'm going to say that you have $25,000 of your money that's in the bank. And again, so I'll just call it the Bank of Colorado because that's where Dr. John Brimhall lives, is in Colorado. So I'm going to say that he has $25,000 in the bank and he's earning 4% interest on that money. Okay? Now, I know that you're not going to find a bank that's going to pay you 4%, but I'm going to say that we found a good bank, and that bank is paying you 4% interest. Now, I imagine everybody on the call either has a car, they drive a car, or they ride in a car. So I'm going to use a car as an example because I'm going to assume that you're going to go out and you're going to buy a $25,000 car. And again, I don't care about the amount. It can be a more expensive car. It can be one that doesn't cost as much. But let's just use $25,000. Okay? Now, remember, I said you have $25,000 in the bank earning 4%. And I'm going to be your banker, all right? And just call me Banker Brent. And the thing that you do is you come into my bank and you say, Brent, I need to take the $25,000 out of the bank that's earning 4% interest, and I want to go pay cash for the car. And I say, no, 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 no. Do not take the $25,000 out of the bank that's earning 4. Instead, leave it in the bank. We'll use this as collateral, and I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and I'm going to charge you an interest rate of 6%. Now, I'm going to assume just for example.
Come on, Charlie.
Okay, I'm going to assume for example purposes that you are going to finance this car for 5 years or 60 months. It doesn't matter if it's 4 years, it doesn't matter if it's 3 or 6 years. But let's just say 60 months is how long you're going to finance this car. Now remember, I said you had $25,000 in the bank earning 4%. And I want you to leave it in the bank.
I wanted to take the next step in my career, but I didn't think I could earn an MBA with my unpredictable schedule. Then
I don't know where that noise is coming from, but there it goes. Okay, so instead of you taking the $25,000 out of the bank earning 4, the thing you're going to do is I'm going to make you a loan for $25,000, and we're going to charge you 6% interest. And over the same time period of 5 years, our bank will pay you more money on the 4% that you're earning than you will pay us on the 6% that you're borrowing. Now, is that a true statement? In other words, is it possible for you to make more money if you earn 4 compared to when you pay 6? The answer is obviously no, because you're losing 2%, right? That's exactly what I said when I saw this. However, the banker is telling you the truth, and you can make more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6%. I'm going to walk you through it right now. So if you have that car loan of $25,000, you finance it at 6% for 5 years, that means your payment is going to be $483.32 a month. And we're going to take that times the 60 months. So what that means is that over the course of the loan, the 5 years, you're going to pay right at $29,000 for the car. You're going to pay $25,000 in principal, and you're going to pay about $4,000 in interest. Now, remember, I said down here on the bottom right calculator that 25 earning 4 over the same time period of 60 months, you actually are going to have about $30,525. Now, my question is this number down here, the 30,000, larger than the 29,000? Yes, it is. Well, how can that be true? How can you make more money earning 4 at the same time you're paying 6? Well, here's why. Because the car payment is going down every month. It's on a decreasing balance. And the money that you left in the bank earning 4% is going up every month. It's on an increasing balance. So one goes down and the other goes up. But see, that's not the way our minds are programmed to think. We automatically think if we borrow at 6% and only earn 4, that we're losing 2. We have to start learning how money works. Now, why is this important? Okay? Why is this 4% and 6% important? Well, remember at the beginning of the call, I told you I am going to show you a way to build your financial wealth, to keep control of all of your money, and keep everything inside of your family, and never lose any control of your money or take any risk. And the product that we're going to use to do that is a whole life insurance policy in a company that pays dividends. Now, before you hang up the phone and think, oh my gosh, why would I ever want to purchase a whole life insurance policy to build my banking system?
Let's get you cleaned up before Mom gets home.
Okay, so you need to hear me out here. All right, so the reason that we're using the banking system, hang on, I got some noise going on in the back. I don't know where that's coming from. All right, it went away again. The reason that we're using this banking system, the reason we're using a whole life policy to build the banking system is because that is what the super wealthy do. This is what the rich do. As a matter of fact, the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. Conventional banks own more in life insurance than all of their land and their buildings combined. Now, why on earth would banks own all this in life insurance? Is it because they're stupid, or is it because they know something the rest of us don't know? Probably be because they know something the rest of us don't know. So all we're going to do is we're going to mimic what the wealthy do. We're going to mimic what the rich do. Now, guys and gals, this concept I'm sharing with you tonight is nothing I've invented. It's nothing I've created. It's been around for over 200 plus years. Again, we're just going to imitate what the wealthy do and what the rich do. And remember, I said the #1 purchasers of whole life insurance in the world are conventional banks. And how can you check that out to make sure it's true? You go and look something up. It's called BOLI, B-O-L-I, and it stands for bank-owned life insurance. If you go type in bank-owned life insurance, you will see the hundreds and hundreds of pages that come up on how much life insurance conventional banks actually own. So all we're going to do is we're going to mimic exactly what they do. Now, all right, just a couple other quick topics. as far as people that put their money away into a retirement account or a 401k, okay? Let's say that's you and you're putting your money away into a 401k or a retirement account. Well, why are you doing that? Well, the reason that you're doing that is because that's what your parents and your grandparents taught you to do, and that's what your accountant's telling you to do. Let's max out our retirement plan. Let's put it into that traditional IRA or that Roth IRA. Let's max it out, right? Now, I want you to think about a couple things when you do that. Anytime you put your money away into a qualified plan, who's controlling that money? Is it you or somebody else? You're right, it's somebody else. Now, are there any guarantees at all with your retirement account? No, there's no guarantees. Well, actually, there is one guarantee. Okay, the guarantee is that account is never going to go below zero. Now, how exciting would that be if that actually happened? And again, somebody else is controlling the money. Now, a couple other questions. Tell me everything you know about your retirement account. Everything you can think of that you know. Here's exactly as far as what you know about it, and you probably know nothing more. The only thing you know is if that account goes up or down based on the quarterly statements, and you may know if that money is invested in a low, moderate, or high-risk category. But other than that, you guys don't know crap about your retirement account. So all I want to do is I want to show you how to use your dollars today instead of putting them away and hoping there's going to be some later. Let's talk about money for a minute and the definition of money. The definition of money is a means of exchange. That's all money is. We exchange food for money, money for food, car for money, money for car, house for money, money for house. All it is a means of exchange. Okay? Now, so compound interest. Is compound interest something that you believe in? And most of you on the call would probably say, well, of course I believe in compound interest. Okay? Well, let's just think about compound interest and compounding. The only way compounding works and compound interest works is that your product and your money has to sit still. In other words, if you go and you put some dollars into the bank, the only way those dollars are going to compound is if you leave it in the bank and don't go and get it. Let's say you put money in the bank and you go back in a week to get the money out. Now that money is no longer compounding because you pulled the money out. So the only way compounding works is your product or your money has to sit still. Now, I want you to name me one business in the world. Just name one business in the world that uses compounding or compound interest. Just pick one. So the majority of the people tell me banks, that banks use compound interest. Well, let's think about that. So do banks actually use compound interest? No, they don't. They pay you compound interest and they charge you compound interest, but they don't use it themselves. In other words, if a bank was using compound interest, here's what you could do. The thing you could do is you could go down to the bank today and you could put a $20 bill in the bank and you could like highlight that $20 bill, put your initials on it, and give it to the bank teller. Now, how about if you go back to the bank in a week and you want to get that $20 bill back? Are they going to give you the same $20 bill? No, absolutely not. They're not going to give you the same bill. Even if you go back in an hour, they're not going to give you the same bill back. Well, why wouldn't they give it back to you? Because anyways, doesn't the bank just take your money and they just park it and let it sit? No, they don't. They're constantly moving it. So with compounding, your money has to sit still. It has to stay parked. All right? But the bank isn't doing that with your money. They're moving it. And this is what we want to do. We want to keep our money in motion. We want to move our money. All right? Keep it in motion. Motion is a natural law of God. I mean, again, so right now I'm talking to you. So my mouth is moving. My hands are moving. I'm so like blood is moving through my body. I have to eliminate and urinate, right? I mean, blood has to move through or I die. So how many of you would want to eat fish out of a stagnant pond? Nobody, right? So look, so like banks don't use compound interest. How much money does a car dealer make if cars aren't moving off the lot? Zero. So cars don't, okay, so car dealers don't use compound interest. How much does a grocery store make if groceries aren't moving off the shelf? Zero. How much are you making in your chiropractic office if the headrest paper is not rolling? Zero. So not one business in the world actually uses compound interest. Not one business uses it. However, all the major institutions that promote it, such as banks, Wall Street, so like insurance companies or mutual funds, they all want us to park our money with them and leave it sit still, but they're not leaving it sit still themselves. Isn't that a little strange? I mean, if it's so good to park your money and leave it sit still, why don't they do it? They're telling us to do it. Well, here's why. Because they want our good dollars today and they want to pay us back with weaker dollars in the future. That's exactly what a qualified plan and a retirement plan is doing. Now, I want to ask you a few questions about money. All right? Question number one, is a dollar worth more today or in the future? The answer is today. And if you have a hard time with that, I want you to think about how many candy bars you could buy 10 years ago for a dollar and how many you can buy today for a dollar. Number two, are taxes going to go up or are they going to go down? Over the history, they've gone up. And even if they don't go up, aren't we taxed on more stuff all the time? Question number three, if you have a choice to pay tax on the small amount the seed or the large amount the harvest, which one do you want to pay tax on? You want to pay it on the seed, on the smaller amount. I agree with all three of those answers, but all three of those answers you are totally violating by putting your money in a retirement account. Because what you're doing is you're giving up good dollars today to get paid with weaker ones in the future. You're compounding the tax because the tax is always going to be there. And when you do pay it, you're going to pay it on the higher rate and not the smaller rate. It makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to just say one more thing on this and we'll move on. Remember earlier, we agreed that money was a means of exchange. So money is food, food is money. Car is money, money is car. House is money, money is house. So let me ask you a question. Would you go to the store today, buy a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, or a steak, and wait 5, 10, 20, 25 years to eat the bread or drink the milk or eat the steak? No, absolutely not. How about going to the store today and buying a car or a house and waiting 10, 15, 20 years to drive the car or live in the house? That would be insane. You would never, ever do that. Well, why are you doing that with your money? You see, people do things with money that they would never do with things that money buys. You would never buy a loaf of bread, put it in the freezer, and wait 20 years to eat it, but you'll put money in a retirement account and wait years and hope there's some there to use later. I'm just trying to open up your mind and challenge your thinking a little bit about what is actually going on. Okay, let's move on. Now I told you that I'm going to prove to you how you're going to get all the money back on all the cars you're ever going to buy, drive, and own. All the money for all the cars, okay? Now, I know you see a lot of numbers on this screen, and I'm going to try to make it really easy to follow. So after I get done with this slide in the next 10 minutes or so, it's going to prove to you that you're going to get every dollar back for every car that you buy, drive, and own for you and your family for the rest of your life. All right. Now, I want you to look over here on the left where it says policy year. All this is time. That's all it is. It's just time. And then I want you to look at age, and I want you to look at death benefit. Remember, I said we're building our banking system with a whole life policy. Okay, so there is a death benefit to it. Now, I'm not worried about age and death benefit, but I know there's at least one analytical on the phone that has to know about age and death benefit. Okay, remember, we're not buying a policy for death benefit. We're buying a policy to build our banking system, and we're using it for cash. So cash is the most important thing to us. All right, but again, there's that analytical that has to know about the age and death benefit. So let me just go on and explain. Okay, I gave an example of a 26-year-old. Now, I don't care if you're 26, 46, or 66, all right? So if you notice, there's age and death benefit. Now, okay, so here's what's going to happen. So let's say 3 people go to the life insurance store today, the same life insurance store, and all of them, they want to buy a policy for the same dollar amount in premium. And the only thing different about them is their age. They're all in equal health, but the only thing different is age. There's a 26, a 46, and a 66-year-old. Well, who's going to have the most death benefit out of all of those people? Yes, the younger one is going to have the most, and the older one is going to have the least. That's just common sense. But let's say we're talking about cash, and you have those same 3 people, age 26, 46, and 66. They all go to the grocery store today, the same grocery store, and they have a $20 bill in their pocket. Who's going to be able to buy the most groceries with that $20 bill? Is it the 26, the 46, or the 66-year-old? It's all the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Age has nothing to do with it when you're talking about cash. You see, when you go to a grocery store, they don't care how old you are. They don't care what color your skin is. They don't care what language you speak. They don't care how you're dressed, how good you look, how bad you smell. It doesn't matter. The same $20 buys the same amount of groceries. So it doesn't matter when we're talking about cash, okay, as far as age. All right, now, if you look at this column here, this is premium deposits. And we're going to put in $10,000 a year into premium deposits into our policy. Now look, I'm never going to tell you what to put in your policy for a premium deposit. You might want to put less. You may want to put more. You might want to just to do your premium deposits monthly, yearly, quarterly, twice a year. It doesn't matter. But in this example, he's going to put in $10,000 a year for 7 years, which is a total of $70,000. And then he's going to stop paying the premium after 7 years. Now, in real life, I would never have you stop paying the premium after 7 years. And before we end tonight, you'll see why. Okay. Now, he's going to go buy a car. He's going to buy a car in the 3rd year. He's going to buy a $25,000 car in year 3, and he's going to buy a car every 5 years after that because those cars wear out. All right? Now, in real life, I would never have you wait 3 years to buy the car and start using the cash in your policy. I want you to use it immediately. Immediately. And my definition of immediately is within the first 30 days. All right? So, but in this example, we waited 3 years. Now, I want you to look and I want you to see what we've done here in 7 years. Okay? Now, actually, before I do that, I want you to notice that he's going to borrow $25 from the policy and he's going to pay himself back with interest. Okay? Now, why on earth would you pay yourself back with interest when you took your money? Well, if you borrow money from a bank, are you paying them back with interest? Absolutely you do. So we need to start treating our money the same way we treat a bank's money. So if we borrow money from a bank, we definitely pay them back with interest. So if you borrow money from yourself, don't you think you should pay yourself back with interest? Absolutely. But do we ever do it? No. You never do it. All you do is you take money out of your checking or your savings account to go buy what you want, and you never replace that money. We've got to start paying ourselves back. We need to treat our money just like we treat a bank's money, okay? Now, so the thing we do is we pay ourselves back $500 a month or $6,000 a year for 5 years. So we borrowed 25 and we paid back 30. We borrowed 25 and we paid back 30 over 5 years. Now I want you to look and see what we've done through 7 years of this program. In year 1 through 7, we put in 70 plus 30 equals 100. But how much did we take out for the first car? We took out 25. So if we put in 100, but we took 25 out to buy the car, how much did we really put in? We really put in 75,000. Well, look down here, guys, at year 7 at your cash value. How much cash do you have inside of your program? 67,881. And if you take 67,881 divided into 75,000, you just got back 90 cents of every dollar for that very first car. So not only do you have the car, but you also have 90% of the money back. Now, how much of the money do you have right now for all the cars you've ever bought, owned, and driven for your entire life? The answer is the same thing I had before I watched this, was 0. Okay, now we're going to go buy another car. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at line 8 to 12. 8 to 12. And we're going to go buy another car for $25,000. Now, where does that 25 come from? It comes from the 67. So remember, I said we're no longer going to pay premium anymore, but we are going to pay ourselves back. Again, $500 a month or $6,000 a year for that car for 5 years. So if you look at line 8 to 12, let's look and see what we did. We took out 25, we put back 30. Took out 25, put back 30. How much more did we put back than we took out? $5,000, right? $5,000. Well, how much cash do we have right now? We have 91,000. So our cash and our policy grew from 67 to 91. That's a $23,000 growth with a $5,000 net injection. How are you liking buying cars my way? As you see, this gets better as we go along. Now I'm going to do one more just to make sure you have it, and then we'll wrap this screen up and go to our last screen of the night. Okay, now I want you to look at line 13 to 17. Let me erase some of these here. Bear with me. All right, so now we're going to look at line 13 to 17, and let's see what we do. In line 13 to 17, here's what we do. We go buy another car for 25, just like we did before. Where does the 25 come from? It comes from the 91. We're no longer paying premium still, but we're going to pay ourselves back $6,000 a year for 5 years, or a total of $30,000. So all we did is the same thing. We took out 25, put back 30. Took out 25, put back 30. How much more did we put back than we took out? The answer is $5,000. How much cash do we have now? It grew from 91 to 123. That's a $32,000 growth with a $5,000 injection. Can you see how the longer we go, the more efficient that this gets? Now, watch this. Watch this. I still get goosebumps every time I talk about this, and I've been talking about this for several years now, and it still makes to this day, it makes the hair on my arm stand up. Now watch what happens in 12 years. How fast has 12 years went in your life? Look what we did in 12 years. Let's just add up what we did. Remember, in year 1 through 7, we put in 70. Plus, we paid back for the first car of 30. So we got 100,000 there that we put in. Plus, in year 8 to 12, we put in another 30. So we put in a total of 130. 130 total. But look what we did here, guys. We took out 25 for the first car, 25 for the second car. So that's 50. So that's 50,000. So we put in 130, we took out 50. We put in 130, took out 50. How much more did we put in than we took out? 80,000. 80,000 is our true net injection through 12 years. Well, look here. How much cash do we have today in 12 years? 91. So our true injection was 80, but here we are with 91,000 in the bank in cash. So not only do we have the 91,000, but we also have the 2 cars on the driveway that we've owned, driven, and used for the whole time that we paid $25 each for. And we still own those cars. We can still drive them. We can use them. We can sell them. We can donate them. So our true net injection is 80, but we have 91,000. So if that's true, which it is, how much did those cars really cost you to own, drive, and use? Now, I don't know how things work in your mind, but the way my simple chiropractic mind works is that we actually made money on the cars. So did the cars really cost us anything to drive? Well, I can't tell you they didn't cost you anything because you had to capitalize your program. So if you notice here in the first year, you put in 10 and you couldn't borrow 10, could you? You couldn't borrow the full 10. But are we in this for the short term or the long term? And I know you're saying long term, but we tend to get hung up in the short term. I would challenge you to read a book called A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And what Rick Warren says in that book is life is like a marathon. It doesn't matter where we start, it only matters how we finish. And this is the game of life. So, all I wanted to do with this exercise is prove to you that you can get all of the money back for all of the cars you're ever going to buy, drive, and own for the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to move on to the last screen, but before I do, and I know I'm moving fast because this is usually like a 2-hour gig that I do, and I'm trying to do it here for Dr. John in an hour. Now, okay, so there's 3 rules that I want you to get that you got to start doing with your money. Number 1 is pay yourself first. Pay yourself first is rule number 1. That's your premium deposits. Rule number 2 is pay yourself back with interest. Pay yourself back with interest. Remember, treat your money the way you treat a bank's money. And number 3, we want to recapture all of the money that goes out to other people. And that's where I show you right here where you have 91,000 in cash and your true net injection was 130 minus the 50, so your true net injection was 80,000. So 3 rules: pay yourself first, pay yourself with interest, and recapture all the money that goes out to other people. Okay, I'm going to move into my last screen, and before I do that, I just want, because again, I don't have any of your contact information, and I'm not going to ask you for your contact information, but I want you just to take my information down real quick in case you want to call me and ask me questions about this and go in more detail on how this pertains to your financial life. So I have my name, Brent Kesler. I have my email, brent@livingwealth.com, and you have my cell number, 785-248-9637. All right, so you have that information. If I remember, I'll put it up again at the end of the deal, or if not, you can always get my contact information from Dr. John. Okay, last thing I'm going to do, last slide. This is going to take me about 20 minutes, and then we're going to be done. And I should be right on schedule. And I believe Dr. John said we'll open it up for a few questions if you guys want to ask him. All right. Now, I'm going to show you how we put all of this together and how this is going to work in your life. And again, remember, I said that I had $984,711 in third-party debt. And I paid it off in 39 months. Well, I'm not going to show you my example. That would take way too long to do, but I'm going to show you a real life example of a individual that we worked with. This is already done. The case is done. It was a chiropractor in the state of Minnesota, and he had a total of $420,000 in third-party debt. And he showed up at our office, and he's like, help me get out of this mess. Help me get out of this financial bondage that I don't even realize that I'm in. So I'm going to walk through this, and I want to show you his debts. His debts are all up here along these lines up here, okay? And I'm going to show you who he owed. He owed 14 third-party creditors. He owed Home Depot, Target, Chase Card, Barclays or credit cards, Wallace Practice, U.S. Bank, IRS, First Bank and Trust, Sears Card. He owed a second First Bank and Trust, JW Practice, a third First Bank and Trust, Ray's Loan, House Number 2, and House Number 1. If you notice in each of these debts here, it shows you who he owes, how much he owes, what his minimum payment is, what his interest rate is, and how long he has left on the loan. So if you total them all over, across, left to right, it equals $420,000, okay? So I want you to write down on your paper that he owes $420,000. Now, also, if you guys text me or email me, I will send you all this stuff I'm going over. You can have all these spreadsheets, and you can study them in nauseating detail. All you got to do is send me a text or send me an email, and I'll send them to you. Okay, so he had $420,000 in debt is what he owed other people. Now, so again, all right, the problem is he was like, how do I get out of this mess? So he came to us, and actually, all right, this individual was misdiagnosed with Lyme's disease, and his wife's biggest concern was they were going to have to pull their kids out of the University of Minnesota because how could they afford all of this stuff? So anyway, he came to us and he decided to start this program, that we're doing. And he decided to start his premium deposit with $20,000. Now, that was his number, not my number. Remember, the last example was 10. This one's 20. Yours might be more, it may be less. It doesn't matter. But he said he wanted to put $20,000 towards that debt, and so $20,000 a year towards 420. How long would it take you to pay that off, assuming no interest? It would take 21 years. Let's see how well he does. So on your paper, you have written down he owes 420. He's putting 20 a year, and it should take him 21 years. All right? Now, if you notice, the numbers over here on the left are months, and the numbers in the parentheses are years. So in the very first month of the first year, he put in $20,000 into his premium deposit. He immediately borrowed out $11,200. Now, how soon is immediately? Okay, immediately is within 30 days. Remember, I said that before. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 11.2. We got some more music just came on. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take that 11.2. We're going to pay off Home Depot, Target, Chase Card, and we're going to pay Barclays down from $72.50 to $63.10. All that money that was going to the creditors, we're now going to bring it back to himself. He's going to pay himself back. So if you notice, the difference here in Barclays is 35, Chase is 228, Target is 200, Home Depot is 200. Add them all up, it comes to $663 a month. I'm going to call it $665 a month because I can add even numbers in my head better. So my question is he changing his cash flow, working any harder, or taking any additional risk? No, not at all. He's just paying himself back the money that he was paying to the other creditors. He's paying it to himself into his own account. This is his own account, his own bank account. Okay, so now all we do is continue to pay ourselves back. We get to the 8th month, and you notice instead of paying $665, he pays $1720. Well, why does he pay $1720? Because if you notice here in Wallace practice, he only had 7 months left on the loan when he started. So that loan paid off. So we asked him, we said, Doc, do you want to leave the $1054 a month in there, or do you want it to go back in your system? His answer was, I've been paying it for 10 years. I'm used to paying it. Let's just continue to do it. So all we did is we sent the $1054, added it to the $665, and now he's paying himself back $1720 a month. Okay, now we get to the end of the first year, beginning of the second year, month 13. We pay our premium deposit again for $20. Now look what we can borrow from that $20, $17.5. So we take that $17.5, add it to the $13.2. We've been paying ourselves back, and we have a little under $31,000. Well, guess what we're going to do with that $31,000? We're going to go pay off more debt. So we pay off the rest of Barclays, we pay off U.S. Bank, IRS, First Bank and Trust, and we pay Sears card down from $11,900 to $2,100. We take that money that we were paying the creditors, and we start paying ourselves. The difference in Sears is $355. That would be $245. We got First Bank and Trust $725, IRS $425, U.S. Bank $250, and Barclays we had $265. Add all of those up, add them to the $1720 that we were paying ourselves back, and now we're paying ourselves back $36.25 a month. Are we working harder, changing our cash flow, taking any additional risk, losing control? No. Are we doing anything stupid here? No. All we've done is we bought this stupid policy right here, this stupid policy. We're paying premium on this stupid policy, and we're using it to create our banking system. Now, we continue on, just like we were before, and we get to the third year, the end of the second year, beginning of the third year, month 25. Well, now we pay our premium again of 20. Now how much are we borrowing from the 20? 18 of the 20. Now look, a couple things I want you to realize. This is really important. How long have we been paying premium up to this point? 3 years. We paid 20, 20, and 20. So we put in 60. But remember, the first year we borrowed 11. The second year we borrowed 17. And this year we borrowed 18, didn't we? So we're using about $46,000 of that money. Now you're probably thinking, well, I took it out of my policy, right? No, you did not take the $60,000 out of your policy. What you did is you put your policy up for collateral, and you took a loan from the policy. So your money is still growing, it's still compounding as if all 60 was in there. And if you remember earlier, I said the guaranteed growth. Remember the first slide I showed you with the calculators? Okay, the very first slide. The reason we use the 4 and the 6% is because the guaranteed growth inside of the policy is 4%, tax-free. The highest interest rate the insurance company is going to charge you to take a loan is 6%. And I proved to you that you could make money all day long earning 4 and paying 6. So guys, that's huge. Your $60,000 is still growing even though you're using 46 of it. I mean, is that cool or is that cool? All right, so here we are on month 25. We put in 20, borrow 18. We got the 18 plus the 43 we've been paying ourselves back. We got 61.7. We take that 61.7 and we pay down more debt. We pay off the rest of Sears, First Bank and Trust, JW Practice, First Bank and Trust, and Ray's loan. We take that money that we were paying to other people, 637, 427, 535, 495, and remember on Sears we had 55 a month left. We add it to the 3625, and now we're paying ourselves back $57.75 a month. Again, are we working harder, changing our cash flow, taking any additional risk? No, not at all. Life is just going by. The sun is coming up, the sun is going down. We're just living life. Now we get to the end of the third year, okay? We get to the end of year 3, beginning of year 4, month 37. We put in our 20. Now we have 19 of 20. So now we got 19 of 20 to use, plus the 19 plus the 69 we've been paying ourselves back the previous 12 months. We got 88,000. Now we're going to take that 88,000 and we're going to pay house number 2 down from 95,000 to 6,900. In the very next month, ladies and gentlemen, month 38, I want you to look at month 38. Month 38, we now have enough money to pay that last house. So now what we've just done is we've eliminated 13 of the 14 third-party debts, and we're only in month 38. How long did I say it was going to take us to do it? I said it was going to take us 21 years. And here we are. We only have one debt left, and we're in month 38. So you think we might be a little ahead of the game. So we're going to continue to pay ourselves back $65.25 a month, the same way we were doing it before. And we get to the end of the 4th year, the beginning of the 5th year, to month 49. Now look what we do. How much premium do we pay? We pay $8,000. Why do we only pay $8,000? Because we were supposed to pay $20,000, right? Because the way we design the policy is why we only pay $8,000. I'm not going to go into that with you tonight. If it's something that you want to know more of, call me, text me, or email. But now we're only going to put $8,000 into the policy. But look what happens when we do that. How much do we have now to use of that $8,000? We've got $9,300, more than we put in. Now, I'm not going to get to this in my presentation, but I want you to roll your eyes down here to line 61. And next year we put in $8,000. Can you see how we even have more to use? So remember earlier, I told you that you're never, ever, ever going to want to stop paying your premium, ever. All right, and the reason is because the growth. Look what happens now with the growth of that money. All we're doing is moving money. How hard is it for you to give me $8 if I'm going to give you $9.31 back? And how about if we add some zeros onto those numbers? How many days a week do you want to do that, right? That's why you never, ever want to stop making your premium deposit. I know. It's totally contrary to everything we've been taught. You want to pay your premiums as little as possible for as small amount of time as possible. If at any time you think it's a good idea to stop this growth right here, then you guys do not need financial counseling. You need severe psychiatric care. Because again, why on earth would you ever not give $8 to get $9.31 back? All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start a second policy. Policy 2. Let me erase this a little bit so you can see. Right here, I want you to follow me down here on policy 2, right there. Come on down, and we're going to start policy 2 for $20,000. Now, why are we going to start a second policy? Well, so just if you work with us, we'll show you why you should never, ever wait more than 4 years to start your second policy. Now, I will tell you that over the 5,300 clients that we work with, 91% of those come back and start second and more policies. 91%. And we have 70% of our clients come back within the first 6 months. Now, the reason I tell you that is because if this concept was not working for people, there's no way that 91 out of 100 would be coming back for more. How would you like to have 91% retention rate in your office? 91% of your patients coming back for more care. All right, so we're going to start a second policy. So now here's what we've done. All right, down here in month 49, Okay, the thing we did is put in 8, we took out 9,300. We put in 20, took out 11,1. So all right, so here's what we got. Let me erase here so this kind of clears it up a little bit. You've got 9,300, 11,1 plus a 71.3 you've been paying yourself back the previous 12 months. You got 91.8. 91.8. Remember, we only have one debt left, and we pay that debt down from 145 to 54. We continue to pay ourselves back just like we were before. And look what happens in month 57. In month 57, we now have enough money to pay off that very last house. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're 57 months in, and we just eliminated $420,000 of third-party debt. Now, how long did I say it was going to take us to do it? Remember earlier, you wrote it down. It was going to take us 21 years. Well, it didn't take 21, 20, 15, 10, or 5. We did it in 57 months. And I will report to you that this case is already done. And what he did is he completed it 13 months ahead of schedule. He did it in 44 months. Plus, he had 2 additional cars that were financed on his GPS that I'm not even showing you. And look at this. Look at this here. How much did he put in? Remember how much he put in? Okay, just in this whole program, go back to year 1. He put in 20 in year 1. In year 2, he put in 20. So that's 40. In year 3, he put in 20. In year 4, he put in 20. So 20 times 4 is 80. Then he put another 8 and another 20. So 80 plus 28 is 108. He injected $108,000 of money and paid off $420,000 in third-party debt while keeping his cash flow exactly the same. All he did was buy this stupid policy. Now, last thing I'm going to show you, and I'm done here. Less than 5 minutes, and I'm done. Watch this. I want to show you what is going to happen if he just continues to pay himself back the money that he had already agreed to pay the bank. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 2 houses, house number 2 and house number 1. I'm not even going to talk about the first 12 debts. Remember, he had 14 debts. I'm only going to talk about house number 2 and house number 1. Okay? And I want to show you what's going to happen if he just continues to pay himself back the money that he had already agreed to pay the bank. Because remember, okay, all up in here in these houses, so he already agreed to pay the bank back this money, didn't he? So he showed up at our door, and this is what he had already agreed to pay the bank. Now, house number 2, how much was he paying a month in house number 2? $751. $751 is what he was paying. Nope. $751. And how long did he have left to pay when he showed up at our door? 334 months. But remember, we've been doing this for 57 months. So we got to be fair. Let's take 334 minus 57. That would equal 277 months he would still have left to pay on this note. He would still have 277 months left to pay. All right? Now, again, all I'm doing is I'm showing you how much he would have if he just continues to pay himself back the money he had already agreed to pay the bank. Now, let's go to house number 1. How much was his monthly payment? $11,1108. $11,1108. And how long did he have left to pay? 274 months. 274 months right there. But to be fair, we've been doing it for 57, so 274 minus 57 gives us 217 months he would still have to pay. So look what happens, guys. I want you to look at the future values and add those up. If he just continues to pay himself back the money he had already agreed to pay the bank, can you see here he would have almost $450,000 more in his account plus the house. all without changing anything that he's doing except buying the stupid policy and using it for a banking system. But it gets better than that, because look at this. Remember I said the guaranteed growth inside your policy is 4%. That's the guaranteed growth. That's the minimum. It's not me telling you, it's in your contract. So add those two future values up now. Now he has under $700,000 plus the house. If he does not do this, ladies and gentlemen, who gets that $700,000? The banks get it. Now do you know why banks are everywhere and they're so big? I mean, just drive down your town and look at the corners when you get to an intersection. What are all the buildings that you see? The banks. The banks are on the best landscaping, best architecture. Who's paying for all that? We are. We're paying for all of that. So all we're going to do is change the place of the bank, and you're now going to become the bank. Now, look, guys, now that you understand this information, I personally believe, this is just my personal opinion, now that you understand more of how money works, if this is something that you don't do, I believe not only are you stealing from yourself, but you're stealing from your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, and future generations to come. Because what you're doing is you're letting money leave the family. In this system, there is no leakage of money. You see, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, Morgan Stanley's, Barclays, they all understood how to keep money inside of their family. And that's all we're doing, is we're mimicking what the rich do, what the wealthy do. There's a guy named Warren Buffett. You guys ever hear of Warren Buffett? Back in October of 2008, here's what Warren Buffett said. He said if poor people would just start doing what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. That's exactly what we're doing. How about a guy named Robert Kiyosaki? Have you ever heard of him? He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's actually another book that he wrote called The Second Chance, and he talks about turning assets into liabilities. Again, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Turning liabilities into assets. And that's what we're doing, turning liabilities into assets. And that's exactly what Kiyosaki says. Go out and read the latest book by Tony Robbins, Mastering the Money Game, or Money, the Mastering of the Game, or something like that. Go to the last few chapters. This is exactly what he talks about. All we're doing is mimicking the wealthy. There's you and I and the super wealthy. You and I and the super wealthy. We all have access to the same financial tools. The only thing difference between us and them is they use the tools differently than we do. And now that I understand how the game is played, I use the tools exactly the way the wealthy use them. And I'm building my wealth and getting wealthy right along with them. Okay, very last thing, and then I'll turn it back over to Dr. John for questions. But here's what I want you to think about. With all of us on this call, there's only one of two things that are going to happen to every one of us in the next 10 minutes, 10 days, 10 months, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Only one of two things are going to happen to all of us. We're either going to live or we're going to die. That's it. That's all that can happen. We're going to live or we're going to die. So with this program I just shared with you, if we live, are we better off with or without it? I would hope you would think with it. If we die, are our beneficiaries, is our family better off with or without this program? Obviously with it, because of the death benefit. Now, how much tonight did I talk about death benefit? How much did I talk about the internal growth of the policy grows tax-free? How much did I talk about loans are never taxable? As a matter of fact, when you use it for a business purpose, it could be a tax deduction. How much did I talk about that a loan on a policy does not even have to be paid back as long as you're keeping your policy enforced? A loan on the policy does not have to be paid back. Remember, a loan on a policy is simply a prepayment of the death benefit. That's all it is. You're borrowing to get your death benefit. So what we're doing is we're using good dollars today, and we're paying them back with weaker dollars in the future. I didn't even talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. The stuff I covered tonight on this concept is equal to the pimple on the elephant's behind. That's how much I covered. There's so much more that goes along with this. So again, I'm going to put up one last time as I turn this back over to Dr. John, just so you have my contact information. Please feel free to call, text, or email me. There's my contact info coming up. Well, I thought it was coming up. Please feel free to call, email, or text me. Let's see here. I lost it. Okay, Dr. John, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to my contact info here.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any questions for us?
No, there's no questions right now.
I guess, Dr. Brent, you did such a good job if nobody has any questions. While you're seeing if you can get your name.
Okay, let me,
real good to do that.
hang on, I'm just trying to put up my contact info, but you know, you might want to, here, just go ahead and like write it down. Okay. Anyway, here, I'm just going to give it to you. It's Brent Kesler, Brent Kesler. My phone number is 785-248-9637. Again, 785, again, area code 785-248-9637. And my email is brent@livingwealth.com. BRENT at living, LIVING, wealth, WEALTH. Brent@livingwealth.com. My number is 785-248-9637. Okay. Anything else?
Now, let me just close down here a little bit. Brent is going to be with us all weekend long on January 27th through 29th. In fact, we treat patients the 26th, so we'll have a 4-day conference going on. On the 26th, we'll start treating in the evening from 6 to 9. So if you want to have myself or one of our staff treat you, you need to call Jason and get that all squared away. You can always go to Brimhall, BRIMHALL.com, and all kinds of stuff is available there that we have going on. I've been in practice now for 45 years, and we're still on fire helping save lives out there. I will have not only Brent there, but I also will kick that off because I've been doing this for 7 years. And we will have Larry Connors there and Solomon Himani, and they're going to show you how to set up trusts, how to set up a private family foundation, have your 501c3 that's yourself. I mean, it was really fun the day I got my tax exempt status from the government, and we'll show you how to use that. So that's above and beyond the seminar. Seminar will go from 8 to 6 that night, from 6:30 to 9. We're going to have these speakers where we expand 3 times what Dr. Brent said today. Now, the fact I was doing this, I had 3 $20,000 policies for 7 years that I paid on. And then last year in December, I went to a meeting that Dr. Brent and I are going to be going to here in a couple of weeks in Mexico, and I got another $100,000 a year premium policy. You say, wow, how'd you do that? Well, I had enough premium saved up in my policies. The value that was there, that paid my premium. I didn't have to come up with a penny to add my branch office at $100,000. So this sounds a little wild when you start it, but after you do it, you think, wow, I wish I'd known about this forever. So, gang, we're out of time. We're certainly out of energy, but we'll let you guys kind of wind down a little bit. Look forward to seeing you at Homecoming, January 27th through 29th. Give Dr. Brent a call. Go to brimhall.com. It has all the information about the seminar. Good night. God bless you all.